Welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. I'm Deanna. It's too late. I got it. We were a minute late because I was trying to convince Teddy to be sitting here when the show opened. Thank you. And to say, welcome back to Ribbon Candy Hooking. But he was afraid that he was going to mess it up. So he's going to come and say hi to us a little bit later. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. Sorry I got the show info up so late tonight. I wasn't sure that I was going to be able to energy wise, just with the amount of stuff that I've been doing in the last couple of days. But I feel like I have a little bit of energy. So I thought of an idea for a fun game that we can do tonight. I thought, let's catch up a little bit. It feels so cold. Let's catch up a little bit. Let's have a fun game. Are you coming to say hi? He's so funny. I have a funny story to tell you, but I'm going to wait till he goes. Yeah, I thought let's spend a little bit of time together. It's been a challenging couple of days. I'll fill you in. But the main piece of information is that tomorrow is the show in Hartford for the 40 Rugs opening up. Here he comes. Hi. Here he comes. Aw, Teddy, there he is. There, my man.
Thank you.
Happy Friday the 13th, sweet stuff.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. You got anything to say? It's a delay. You got to give him a minute. Gami's going to say hi to you.
Yeah.
You got to give it a minute.
Oh, yeah. Long weekend.
You looking forward to the long weekend, babe?
Yeah.
There you go. There's your hello, Teddy. So are you going to bring the other snickerdoodle into the show? Cutest little boy in the world.
Oh, Joe, Jesus, it's a close up. Oh, what was that?
Teddy, long weekend man, huh?
Yep. Love you guys.
There he goes. I can't find the camera. All right, there he goes. Yeah, well, hey, happy Friday. Again, tomorrow is the night. Tomorrow's the night. Where did I put my stuff? I wanted to show you. I left it way over there. I was going to give you a premiere of a couple of rugs that are in the... So you know that if you follow the channel, you know that there's a big show coming up. We haven't had a show in Hartford, a rug show, for quite a while. I think the last one was the one that I did with Pierre. Do you remember, with Pierre Sylvain? I'm hoping that he's going to be there tomorrow. I think he will be there with his lovely wife. Bunch of people coming tomorrow. I think it's going to turn into a large event. I think, Valentine's Day, and it was a little bit warmer today. It got close to 40 for a little while. Not at this moment, but earlier. I think people are just starting to feel it, feel that springtime, whatever. So I realize that there's so many people coming. Again, there are 40 rugs on display. And if you need more information, I can give it to you. In a nutshell, this is going to be at the Unitarian Society, which is 50 Bloomfield Ave, Hartford. This is not the center of Hartford. This is like residential, easy driving streets with a big parking lot and full handicap access. Can you bring the two rugs I draped over the back of that chair? I'm sorry. I'm so needy, aren't I? So that'll be a lot of fun. There's going to be a lot of food and drinks, lots of people bringing some nice things to share, and got those rugs hanging up. But all I could think to myself was, when we're, the rugs, some of the rugs are larger, some of them are smaller. I mean, none of them are monstrous. None of them are like tapestry size. All I could think was, I remember from museum talks or ghost walks and stuff like that. If you're not standing right in front, and it's a large group, you miss everything. And then you feel frustrated. Like, why am I here? So I thought, let's not do that. It seems like it's shaping up to be a big event. So I I did record a little video today, just a short one, while they were setting up for the candlelight concert tonight. God, is that pretty? The candles are fake. Just so you know, if you saw that video, there's like thousands of them. They are not real. Because I went in and I went, oh my God, there's candles near the rugs, but they were fakies. Someone's down at the bottom of the street. I wonder if we're getting a delivery. We'll see what happens. So I thought, you know what, let me make like a PowerPoint presentation that 15 minutes, right? And questions 20 minutes, not like eternal. But I thought, let me show a little bit about rug hooking for people who don't know, because most people don't know, right? And then I'll show the rugs quickly and just say, this is this one, because those will be the rugs that they see as soon as they walk away. And then they can remember what I said about them during the show while they're sitting down with a glass of wine. And then when they see them in person, they'll go, oh, I remember what she said about this one. I feel like it just is going to work better that way, because it just seems stressy if everyone's kind of clustering around and someone's like, I can't hear you, which happens all the time. So I think that's the way it's gonna work. So if you are planning on coming, it starts at 3 p.m. and I will start talking in the little chapel room with the video all set up. We did that today. We got everything set up today. We'll do that at 3:20, so people have enough time. If you're there on time, no big deal. If you're not, you can always just slip in and sit down. Nobody cares, right? Nobody cares. It's all very casual, but it gives people time to grab a drink or something and then come sit in the chapel and get ready for a short presentation and yeah, maybe some questions and then just some carousing. And I will be live at that point. So plan on 3:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. My buddy Keely will be recording. She'll be recording live. So I'm going to try to come to you through the YouTube platform rather than the Facebook platform because I know not everybody uses Facebook. That's my first choice. If there is a problem with the YouTube platform, I will in a pinch switch to the Facebook, right? But it will be a live stream and it will be there for you afterward if you're not there live. But at least it'll be a good, I would say, at least a half hour because she can kind of follow for a while and we can look at some of the rugs in person or whatever. You can get a lay of the land and it should be really fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I want to show you, I want to say hello first, but I want to show you that my buddy Mandy in Canada, she, at the end of the Rose's Tale project, right? Because the book is like I'm at the very last stages of I'm in the last 10 chapters right now. There's 75, right? There's 75 roses. And the more I think about it, it will be great to have that presentation because I say things in that presentation that I don't actually say in the book and I haven't said here. So just little things, but it's all texture, background and texture. I ended up at the end of that project realizing that a couple of them weren't done or people had sort of crises and they weren't able to do them. So I was hooking some, Barbara Cornish was hooking some, I gave some to Mandy. And during that time I said, there's something wrong with me as we well know, but I am the kind of person who, if I have a huge project that has worn me down to a flipping nub and I am sick and, have had breakdowns over a massive project, if I get to the end and I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I'm almost done. Why don't I add 3 more things to the list before I really finish it off? That's just what I do. There's no stopping me. I cannot be stopped. So I did that with this project, despite the fact that I had to push the date back on it like 3 times. I still did that at the end. And I said to Mandy, can you do 2 more rugs for me? Because now I have them in my head. I sketch them on the tablet. They have to come to fruition. And luckily, she's such a good buddy. Both Cornishes, right, are there for me all the time. Barbara and Mandy. Barbara really is the person who put this book together. Like she did the shout out. She got the hookers going. The 2 of them are like powerhouses and so many more people who contributed to this book. Dozens of people contributed to this book. But they both did 10, 15 pieces each. So Mandy did 2 more at the end when I should not have been doing any more. I'm just going to flash them to you here and I'm going to show them live tomorrow because she finished them and she mailed them from Canada. So they didn't come in time for the show, which I knew they wouldn't because it wasn't even close. But I have them now, so I'm going to bring them to show tomorrow. And otherwise, you won't see them again until the book comes out, which will hopefully be, I would say April, which isn't long to wait. But take a look at this. The first one I'm going to show you, and again, both of these are hooked by Mandy Cornish. She is a Canadian hooker, and she only hooks with yarn, and she hooks with my yarn at that. So she, I send her all kinds of colors, and she really likes my yarn is Briggs and Little, 2-ply and 3-ply. She loves to hook in yarn. This first rose I'm showing you is called the Morning Jewel. And I have to say, this is my favorite rug ever. And when I saw it, she said, is this too much? Is this too loud? And I said, no, I have to have it. It's none of those things and I have to have it. So I get to keep this rug and I absolutely love it. I wonder if, the colors are not so great at night. Let me flash you here. I'll come back here a little bit, but I just love this one. I'll show it to you close up. It's going to look better in the photo, right? So there's the Morning Jewel peeking out of the window, right? I've got my light on here for nighttime, so you're not getting great colors. And she's got a pretty wallpaper design in the background, a little bit of a floral design on the bed head, and the footboard and characters sitting up in bed thinking about the day. And there's the morning jewel peeking through the window. Look at this beautiful bedspread, bed skirt, and a little braided rug down the bottom. Putting this next to the bed. I just love it so much. And here's the other one. This one is called the Earth Angel. Earth Angel. And that's not what I was thinking about when I worked on this one. I was thinking about my Jim Shore collection, right? I just love the idea of stacking motifs onto a costume. Here is Earth Angel holding the little rose, and she is up there in the sky with a story about the village that she's passing on her skirt. This is the Earth Angel rose. So these are the last two. That's it. I'll show them again tomorrow during the show, just because I want Mandy to know that I showed them to the group tomorrow in person. But then they will appear with the other 73 rugs in the Rose's Tale. I can't wait. It really is a beautiful book. Now it's time to say hello to everybody and welcome and good night and all of that stuff. I'll probably do a slightly shorter show tonight because I have the thing tomorrow. I'm kind of pacing myself, and then I have to sing at church on Sunday the song Perhaps Love. And I'm singing it in a way that is tricky, and I feel like I'm getting sick. So it makes me very, very nervous. I'm going to have a very early bedtime tonight because I'm so scared. This is not the weekend for these kinds of games. Then I have a colonoscopy on Tuesday, which means I start all that fun stuff on Monday. I don't have the time to be sick. So, but let's have some fun in the meantime. I'll be on for a while anyway. Cheryl, great to see you. Cheers, my dears, in my favorite place in the world on the Cape. Happy Friday to you. Catherine, great to see you in Southern California. Cheers, my dears, on this wonderful Friday night. Who says Friday the 13th are so bad, right? Has anything bad ever happened to you on a Friday the 13th? I've never seen the movies, so I can't go there. Those are not for me. But I made this a little bit too bright now, didn't I? But you know what? Every time a Friday the 13th runs by, I think like, well, that was kind of a nice day. Today wasn't an entirely nice day. I'll tell you what happened. But I would say nothing tragic happened. No black cat like crossed my path and rained mayhem down on me particularly. It was just a bit of a grueling day. Mom, great to see you again. I saw her for just a minute at the church when I went over. She was having Galentine's Day with the Artist Way group at the church. They went out for lunch, and I went over to make sure that I could connect I was getting some help from my buddy Rick, who'll be there tomorrow. He's such a sweetheart. I wanted to be sure that the presentation would open up on the screen because, well, you know how it is, right? I thought after I spent so much time putting that thing together, wouldn't it just be Murphy's finest moment if I was standing up there and I could not get the thing to come on? I mean, it could yet happen, believe me, but all indications point to the cable works and the thing went on. So we'll see what happens. Linda, great to see you in New Jersey. Cheers, my dears. And there's all the hello teddies for my little man. Hello buttons too. He a good boy. Oh, he down there on the floor. He a good boy. I'll tell him he got lots of hellos. Good morning, Gail. Great to see you. And, oh, well, you know what? You say his name and he comes here. Oh, there he is. You gonna come up? You gonna come up? Come here. You gonna come see? I can't say the G word. I can't say the GAMMY word because he get too excited. He said,
Oh, there I come. There I come. I come on the camera, and I say Happy Friday the 13th.
Look at this pub. Look at this pub. Look at that tape measure. Tape measure tongue. Stop. Dearie, he a good boy. He a good boy. He no lickies. No lickies. He a good dear. He knows. He knows. Let's say hello to everybody. Let's see who else is there. Sharon, great to see you. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. And Keely, thank you. You know, I found a clip that made it stay up there, and I thought, you know what? I like it, and it's easy. I did it all day today, and thank you. I never wear my hair up because I always felt like when I'm on the weight loss shot thing right now, so I'm kind of losing weight the cheaty peaty way, but I am losing quite a bit of weight. And I always felt like when I had extra weight and I felt a bit heavy, I always felt like big body, little head, and just like almost like a Fisher Price character. And I felt like if I put my hair up, it would sort of emphasize like little head, big body. So I didn't do it for years, and now I guess I'm at that point where I think like, okay, the other stuff is good enough that I can put my hair up again. So strange, right? These are like strange ego problems. Sue's great to see you. Hello in Kansas. And Diane, great to see you too. Happy Friday. Joyce, happy Friday in Pennsylvania. Great to see you. I know those rugs are so pretty, right? They are so. Here, let me put you down, baby. It's just hard. It's hard to hold you, you little puff. You little chubby puff. They are so fabulous. She works so fast. Did you notice the thumbnail that I used for today, the Betsy Ross? That's Mandy too. That's one of the ones she's doing for the Spilling the Tea book. And I put it up there as a reminder to say to everybody, um, we're getting there with that too. That's going to come out a little bit later. That'll probably, I want to have those in by like the end of May, June, July, and then it'll either, maybe it'll come out for the 4th of July. I'm not sure. And to be honest, it doesn't really matter. I'd like it to come out by the end of the summer, the Spill in the Tea book that celebrates the 250 years since 1776 when the US became a country, when we became independent. And there are tons of patterns in that book. I've got about 40 right now and maybe a few more, but all of them, but I think one are assigned and taken. However, if you have a design that you would like to do that has a colonial flavor to it, not necessarily a straight up patriotic, but something that has to do with, the 17th or 18th century or the revolution, that sort of period, whether it's a house rug or it could be anything, right? It could be anything. I know it's like it can't be anything. It's real specific, isn't it? But there's lots of different subjects in there. In fact, I'm so pleased that Dawn just took one of the designs called the four poster, and it's a bawdy one. I have to say, I'll show it to you when the book comes out. But it's a design where there is a male and female character dressed. She's a little less dressed. She's got like her underoos on, but they're in a four poster, and it's a bit suggestive. It's not pornographic, but that chapter speaks to the. I wanted an opportunity to tell the story of like the 1600s, 1700s, the amount of women during this heavily Puritan time. A huge percentage, like 70+% of women at that time who married were already pregnant. And part of that, and you think like, no, that's not possible. Well, history tells us it is possible, and it did happen. Part of it was the practice of bundling, which I know a lot of you already know about, that I'll talk about in the chapter. And just the idea in these small houses that, you worked 6 days a week, and on the 7th day, Sunday, you went to church all day. I don't mean for 2 hours or 4 hours. I mean all day, right? And so you didn't really get a lot of time for courting if you were a young couple. And for people who lived in remote areas, if, for example, a young man was interested in a young woman living in this house, in this town, wherever, chances are he would have to ride or walk to see her, and that would be on a Saturday night after work. So he would likely, and this is a very common scenario, right? Unless you're in the city, right? Most people were not. He would arrive like on a Saturday PM, probably do a little spooning, which was actually carving a spoon. So they were both sitting in a chair. He was busy with his hands, right? They weren't in the wrong places. He was busy carving a spoon that would be useful to leave with the family in the kitchen. So he'd maybe do spooning, and then chances are that like a courting couple would go to church together in the morning. So he would sleep over. And it was a very common practice to allow people to bundle, which means sleep in the same bed. Now, if there were several daughters or several children and there were already 3 people in the bed, well, it might make a 4th. I know that sounds like a weird kind of party, but it was just a cultural thing that was very different back then. Oftentimes it was just the couple, and depending on the family, they might attach a board between you that was like chained in place. Often the girl's legs would be like chained or put almost like in the holes, like a pillory, just to prevent any shenanigans. But obviously shenanigans happened, right? Because of like the statistics from that time. It was just a very different time. But for example, Dawn took that particular pattern that speaks to basically sex in the 17th and 18th century. It's not what you thought it was. And so that chapter brings up like that part of history that is not as well known. And I didn't think anyone was going to take that one. I thought I might do it if I have time, but if I don't, then that one, like many of the designs I do, is just going to fall by the wayside. It's never going to get done because there were no takers for it. And if there are no takers for it, I think to myself, then it's probably not the kind of pattern that people would want to do, would want to find in this book, or would ever want to buy. So I let those go. But for example, that was one of the weird ones that I thought, this one is never going to go. No one's going to take it. And somebody took it. So we're way down to the end of the designs for that. But if you feel in your heart like you would like to do something for this book, I have one or two. I know that I have two. One of them I was going to do, but I'm thinking I probably can't. So I will say I have a solid two, possibly more, depending on whether I do that thing where I go, I'm in really good shape. Let me draw 10 more. But let me know if you're interested. The dialogue is still open as long as you know I need this by the end of May. Hard deadline on that, so we can get this book out fairly quickly. My mom says, a crazy beautiful earth angel, beautiful design and execution. Yeah, I mean, when Mandy takes these patterns, like so many people who are doing projects for books, I send the pattern, but I don't send the materials. Unless somebody says, like Dawn said for the 4-poster, she was like, ooh, she feels like she's fairly new. And she said, can you give me some color cues and stuff? And, she has a small stash because she's fairly new, but she showed me what she's done. I mean, it's like crazy. She's done full-size rugs and they're beautiful. So I said, well, you know what? If it helps, maybe I'll send along with the pattern a little bit of paisley and maybe some blue velvet, paisley for the background, and maybe some blue velvet, different shades of blue stretch velvet. So I found a few different kinds of paisley that you kind of mix in the background, and then maybe 4 or 5 shades of blue, because I thought for the bed curtains that would look really nice to kind of frame it up, very theatrical. So in some cases when people take patterns, I send you the pattern, but if you say to me like, oh, I really have a vision, but I don't, a lot of people are like, I live in the black hole of crafting. There is nothing near me. And it's always very easy for me to go down to my stash in the basement. I have tons of stuff that I use for myself that I'm never going to get to, and I'm always happy to send a few things out. I'm not up for kitting stuff like this. I can't kit projects this size and go on with my life. If I'm going to kit something, I might as well just do it myself. But I'm happy to send some supporting materials or fancy fibers or whatever you think. I'm always happy to send paisley or velvet to get you going on something if you have a brainstorm, because I don't want you to stagnate, and I want you to feel like you've got some interesting projects to work on. Which reminds me, I think this coming week will be the week that we start our brown bag exchange, which will be putting together like a little sandwich bag of materials from your stash and swapping with someone else. So I'll talk more about that this week, but I have a really clear idea what I want to do for that, what I want to offer for that, and we can start, that'll be sort of our next challenge. We can start talking about that and working on that and signing up for that this coming week. Let me catch up here. Patricia. Oh, it's great to see you, Patricia. Good evening in Binghamton. Binghamton, great to see you. Goretti, great to see you up there in Canada. Rita, great to see you. I have not forgotten the Cardinals. I promise. I have not. Rita's doing a really neat one too that involves colonial era pets. Some of them are very unexpected, right? There's a lot unexpected about that time period. Buttons, you are so stinking cute. I know it. I know it, right? He's like a goblin of cuteness with his crazy eyes looking with a little bit of the white showing and his big tape measure tongue. It's so gross, but he's so cute. New Moon, great to see you. Wonder Piece Collection. So it is interesting, right? And I mean, I think it's interesting. All of these little tidbits from history I find so interesting. And to pair them with a pattern, if the pattern strikes you at all and then the story hits you, it's like, oh, well, that is interesting. I do like that. Rather than just an image. If something hits you on more than one level, sometimes it's just more meaningful, isn't it? So yeah. Who's in the kitchen over there? Is that Joss?
I think that was that.
Okay. Yeah, we had a bit of a thing this week. I'll get all my news out of the way first. We had a bit of a thing yesterday. It was not an ideal day. I got a call from Joss's school, and this is in the midst of all the busyness and getting the show ready and working on the presentation. Got a lot of orders done this week. I dyed over 200 colors this week. Got a lot of orders out. I'm in a good place with that. Remember, the February kit, as far as the kit, I think are there 3 left?
I think 4.
Maybe 4. There's either 3 or 4 of the February kit left. I will make a video showing the placement of all the pieces. Of course, this comes with a Crazy 8. There will be no more after this. I dye this once because it's loads of wool from Door Mill, right? There's a pack of Crazy 8s in here, and 2 of them are mottled, 2 of them are over dyed Door Mill wool. So I don't want to repeat this stuff. It's just too tricky. So it's a Crazy 8 set, and then it also comes with the bag of all of the other colors, right? All of the other pre-cut strips to be able to complete the pattern with the pattern on linen. So it's the Crazy 8s and this. You have Crazy 8 material left over with these monthly kits, but the monthly kits, when they are sold out, the pattern remains available, but the kits don't, because I just can't repeat it. There's a set amount for each month, so I think we're down to 3 or 4. Just remember, don't be disappointed. They do go fast. Yeah, so that happened. Who's in the kitchen now? Can you check? I just wanted to tell the stories, and I don't want to tell them in front of the kids. So the first thing that happened that was awful was I got another call from the school after gym class. No one. You know how I feel about gym class at these schools. It's just too hardcore. These kids are not going to be Navy SEALs or Olympians, I can guarantee you. Anyway, I got a call that Joss came out of gym class having a heart problem, like her heart hurt, like center chest pain, and she was sweating like a pardon me, whore in church. She was soaked, Her heart was racing. She felt like she couldn't catch her breath. They took her blood pressure and her heart rate were through the roof, and they had her lay down for 20 minutes. And after the 20 minutes, her blood pressure went down, but her heart rate went up. So they called me, and I came and got her, obviously, and then it came back down. But this isn't the first time that this has happened. So they said the recommendation was take her to the doctor and just figure out what's going on, because it could just be like a puberty thing. She put on weight fast. She's got big boobs all of a sudden. Sure, she's got like this big woman's clunky body, and she can't fool around like a baby playing with a ball, which is what they were doing anymore. Maybe she just got, I don't know, winded or whatever, but you have to check these things. So I went first thing in the morning today. That's one of the reasons I'm so tired. And had her checked by the pediatrician, and they did find that there was like a different beat or rhythm in the bottom 2 ventricles, so the 2 bottom chambers of the heart, different than the top 2, which doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong or that it's ever going to be a problem, but it is something that you want the cardiologist to check out, because this was the pediatrician. So I'm hoping that we get that appointment sooner rather than later, because that was stressful. And I do really think it's just us not being healthy, us not exercising and eating right. We're just not healthy right now. I think when we do exercise, it's such a rare event that we get really, overheated. I know how I feel when I take a long break from exercise, which I am right now, and then I start running again or something. I mean, I feel like I'm going to drop dead, like literally drop dead. I'm hoping that's what was going on. Teddy's not in the room, right? I'm going to tell the story. Can I tell the story? I mean, it's so funny. It's not funny, but it is kind of funny. So that was happening in gym class at the middle school with Joss. Meanwhile, across the street that was the elementary. Meanwhile, across the street in Teddy's school, he had an awful gym class too. I'm talking quietly. They were doing squats, and he did apparently an enormous fart while he was squatting, which is very funny. Don't get me, like, this to me is hilarious. But I do understand how for a kid was not funny at all. So when I picked him up from school, right, I already picked her up from school and heard about this crisis. When I picked him up from school, he literally got in the car and told me that this had happened while he did this squat. And he said, like, I just can't go to school anymore, obviously. I wanted to be an adult and say, no, of course you can't, Ted. These things happen. These things happen, right? It's like, who cares, right? Among boys, who cares? But I mean, I had to be honest and say, I don't know if you can go to school anymore. I know, like, if this happens in yoga class or something, the person just like can't come anymore. They just like don't come. And I get that. So we were so stressed today. I took Joss to the doctor in New Haven, which is like an hour and a half, and I dropped him off at school, and he was just like, maybe we need to think about homeschooling, because he just like could not show his face at school. So you remember stuff like this, right? If not that exact thing, then something pretty close, right? We have all had pretty close things. So I picked him up from school, and I said, I was so nervous. I thought they were going to be like mocking and humiliating him and making fart noises all day. And And apparently, like I wrote to his person who I'm quite close to on the phone. She's his special helper there with the special needs kids. And apparently I told her about it, and she brought up conversation like about embarrassing things that happen. And so everyone was telling embarrassing things that had happened to them. And Teddy told the story, and everybody laughed, but nobody laughed more at him than at other people. And this girl who's with him all the time, she said like, oh, maybe I need to fart in front of everybody just to take the emphasis off, and everyone was laughing. And Teddy said it was no big deal. Like nothing happened, completely diffused the situation. And I thought, thank God. Let's just get Joss into the cardiologist, and we'll have two happy endings here. But oh my gosh, you remember these school days. And I put this on the Facebook page, and so many people commented and said, gym class. Oh my God, it's always gym class, right? The biggest source when you're this age of humiliation and tragedy, it's gym class, isn't it? I mean, for everybody, that has not changed over the years. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is a stressful thing for sure. She is excused from gym. Yeah, thank you for asking. That was what the doctor said until she gets to the cardiologist and we know what this is, she is excused from gym. Um, so yeah, so that's a start. Because a lot of my friends say, in other places, like their kids had things at gym that were so stressful that they somehow were excused or were able to do different stuff kind of parallel, but not the group dynamic, because gym is not made for everybody, right? I mean, it's one class and everybody's expected to do the same things, but some people have like a grown-up lady's body like Joss, and other people are a completely different species and look like little crickets, right? Little praying mantises. And they can do different stuff. They cannot, at this age, they cannot do the same things. I just don't feel like the expectation should be the same for all, because it's bound to be humiliating, disappointing. And for both of my kids, I'm stopping, I promise. For both of my kids, if they're going to go to school and be stressed, it better be about tests and book reports and academics. I do not want them going to school using all of their mental energy and all of their mental space worrying about gym class. It's just, that's not what I want. They're so preoccupied with the next gym class and when it is and what they're going to do. And now for Teddy, if he's going to accidentally fart, I mean, who needs it? Like everybody's got enough. Oh my God, the plug isn't plugged in. The plug's not plugged in. Can you get the plug really fast? Where's the plug? Where's the plug? Oh my God, the plug's not plugged in. Sorry. I forgot I was using that thing on the couch. Ho, 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 ho. Hang in, we got this. All right, sorry. I was sitting on the couch working before, and I left the plug over there. Sorry about that. All right, there we go. Whew, sorry about that. All righty. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? We all understand, but you know how kids can be. These seem like really good kids. I do remember that book. Everybody farts and everybody poops too, right? Uh, when you're older, it's just like, but when you're this age, man. Oh, Kelly, good to see you. Yeah, I mean, hey, I am in it. I just settled in with Lambrusco. Oh, that sounds very nice indeed. When you're an old mom like I am and you have like two kids in your 40s, everything is a challenge. Everything is an extra push. I perfectly understand why, I guess our bodies are designed to have kids like in our 20s, because you have the energy, you have the sense of humor. Um, they leave you. They leave you when you get older, that's for sure. Middle school and high school are the hardest time for everyone. Yeah, I hope so. He's very excited to join. I'm going to start our game. He's very excited to join, what is it, Stage Crew. His good buddy is in there, Sophia. That's been his friend. That was the person he was partnered with at the beginning of the year because he came in late because we moved. And she has remained his great friend. I think she has a crush on him. He's not there. But they're great friends. So he would like to work backstage and be in that group. And it's hosted by the teacher who has taught them like electronic music, that class. That's Teddy's favorite class. So it's like his favorite teacher. So I think this could be a good opportunity to make friends. Teddy only makes friends, this is autism, only makes friends in March. I'm not kidding. in March, he makes friends. That's it. It's like signing up for insurance, right? There's like a window that like that's the window. And once the window is over, you don't have insurance, right? You can't sign up no matter what your story is. That's the way he is with friends. He only makes friends in March. And I'm like, we're getting pretty close to March, right? Maybe this will help us make some friends. I'll tell you. Holy mackerel. So let's play a game for a while. And sorry, I just opened up my phone because that's where the game is, and I saw somebody from the church, a lady who I really love. She's probably in her late 70s. She just wrote me an email, and the title was, "What will the hookers wear to the party tomorrow?" I'm hoping she's joking. Plenty of clothes. I'm going to answer plenty of clothes. So I have this game for you that I thought would be fun. I had no time to put together content for tonight. So I came up with this idea for a game that we love to play in our family, and you might love to play. It is a composition game, but this is a composition game for everyone, right? So if you're thinking, I don't do my own compositions, I am not an artist, I can't draw, right? Nope. This is for everyone, right? This is super easy. This is for everyone. If you squander the chance to make some great designs, you're going to be sorry later because you're going to see how easy these designs are to do. And you might end up with something that you're thinking on the night of Friday the 13th. Wow, I'm awful at art, but I really like what I just sketched. I think I'm going to hook that. I bet you will say that to yourself. You might even say that to yourself about more than one design. I'm going to describe a rug to you that you cannot see. And on your notebook or on your post-it notes or on whatever you have in front of you, pencil, nothing fancy, right? This is just sketching. You'll sketch according to my description of the rug, right? I'll tell you everything there is to know about the rug. You sketch it, and I'm going to say the worse it is, the better it's going to be. It's going to be more folky. If it's very loose and primitive, if your birds look, but there's no people in any of these, right? These are just basic shapes. If you do a bird shape or a flower shape that looks bad, you can always fix it later, or you can say, hey, it's folk art. It's good, right? This is exactly what it's supposed to be. So challenge yourself, right? Get out of that weird box and sort of give yourself permission to do some art that might not be perfect. You might look at it and say, it's not perfect, but there's something there, right? And I like it. All of these are antique rugs that I'm going to describe. The first one that's an example, I'm going to show you one that's an example, just to show you how it's done. And the example I'm showing you is not the kind of rug that we're playing the game with. It's way more complicated, but I wanted to show it as an example because it's such a cool rug, and I don't want to forget to show it to you. So, for example, when we start the game, and again, this is not the first one. Hang on just a second for the first one. If I show you, for example, if I was looking at this, and this is 1,000 times harder than all of the ones in the show, I might say to you, okay, so this is a portrait orientation, so it's tall rather than wide. And at the bottom, right, at almost the bottom, there is the shape of a fish. And then I might say, okay, this one has a lot of words on it. And I would tell you what the words are. And I would say, there's a top box. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes on top of the fish with text. There's one box underneath, right? Put the boxes in. The top one is a little bit taller and bigger than the others, right? This would be how I describe it to you. And you would draw it however it comes out is your design, right? And you can fine tune it, or you can fall in love with it, or you can put it in the trash, or you throw it in the fireplace, whatever you think. But there is always the chance and the hope that you will draw something that you really love, that has potential. So none of them will be like this. But isn't this such a cool piece? This is up on the website called Live Auctioneers, and this rug is in Canada. I don't remember what part. But the auction for this rug, I think, ends tomorrow on Valentine's Day. So if you want to bid on it, it's on Live Auctioneers. I would bid on it from Canada because otherwise you're looking at crazy unknown shipping, you know. So are we ready to go? I'm going to come to you here because I'm not going to show you the next one. I'm going to describe the rug to you in great detail. You sketch it out, right? And don't constantly be disparaging yourself, right? Don't go, oh, great, nice leaf. Good job with the leaves. Don't do that, right? Because you get nowhere with that. you might draw something you really love, right? So hang on to that positive thought as opposed to, you know, I'm going to describe it and then I'll show it to you at the end, right? So you'll know what the one I was looking at looks like, but that doesn't mean it's the right one. It's just the one that I was looking at, right? What you drew is the right one. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to describe to you, and these are all antique hooked rugs again, right? The one I'm going to describe to you first is landscape orientation. So it's wide. It's not tall, it's wide. So if you have a piece of paper or, you know, or your notebook, right, or draw a little rectangle that's wide and not tall. This is an old-fashioned design. This is a design that we've looked at thousands of times together. You know what this design looks like, even if you don't know what this rug looks like. Let me describe it first. Don't do anything yet. It's one of these classic rug hooking designs, right, from the late 1800s, early 1900s, that has scrolls around the edge. Now wait, these are very simple scrolls. Don't do anything yet. It's got a ring of scrolls around the edge, and I want to draw those in first. Now, listen, this is how the scrolls work. There's a gap on the two sides, right? Look at the screen. On these two sides, where's my hands? There's a gap here and here, right? On the very sides where my hands are. And a little bit on the top to bottom. So north, south, east, west, there's a gap. The scrolls are not going to overlap. The scrolls don't even touch. There are, in the northeast corner, 2 scrolls next to each other. 2 scrolls in the top right corner, 2 scrolls in the bottom right corner, 2 scrolls in the bottom left corner, 2 scrolls in the top left corner. They don't look identical to each other, but you draw them however you want. They look kind of like ears, right? They're simple scrolls. They're not McGowan scrolls. They're not Corinthian scrolls with leaves growing off of them. They are just line drawing scrolls, right? You can do a little flourish or a little dot coming off of it if you want. I'm not going to play with you, but I'm going to show you what I mean, right? And this isn't exactly what the scrolls look like, but we're thinking about scrolls that look something like this, right? And maybe if you're wacky and crazy, you want to do something like, I don't know, something like this or whatever, you know, add a little bit of doodle doos to it, but it's that kind of a scroll. The kind of scrolls that we see with Pro McGowan look more like this, right? And they have a leaf and there's shading and there's a bunch of stuff coming off of it and it's lush and it's not that. But if you would prefer those kinds of scrolls, if you think you'd be more inclined to fill the piece in if you do those kinds of scrolls, then do that. But remember, in total, there are 8 scrolls, and they're doodly-doodly-doo. They're very simple lines. They're puffy, right? They're filled in, they're colored, they're filled in. They're not just like a single line, but they're puffy, very simple doodles. So those go around 2, 2, 2, and 2, almost making a ring, but they're not exactly touching. Now, that should leave you a little bit of space in the corner. In the corner, all 4 corners are the same. I'm going to show you the kind of thing you've got in the corner. It's a leafy thing, and it looks like this. If you start by drawing a stick like this with a leaf on top, and then it's got 2 more sets of, right? So we're doing cheaty peaties because I showed you the kind of motif that's in the corner. Or you could just do a single leaf. That's what's in all 4 corners, right? What's in the center, right? You're probably still drawing, but I'm going to keep going. What's in the center? Well, it's a big center, and there's just a little thing in the center. It's 3 small roses, small. So you look at this and you go, wow, that's a big field. And in the center, almost like in miniature, 3, right? 1 on top, 2 under. And then the smallest little sort of leaves coming off of it, small. Again, like doodly, not big and fluffy and lush and leafy, just a doodle. So 3 roses in the center, and these roses are very, very small. They don't fit the field. This can happen with these early rugs, right? Especially if they're hand-drawn. It's like, gosh, you've got a lot of room in the center there, but you're not using it, right? You just got a little dot in the center and a lot of empty space in the field. Now, if you're thinking, well, I like the way my scrolls look, I'm going to make the flowers bigger in the center because that might make me feel more inclined to do this. Whatever you want, right? This is your sketch. So 3 little flowers in the center, touching each other. And a lot of space around them, right? And again, there is no way to do this wrong. Now, one last thing I'm going to tell you about this piece is that it does have a big empty background, and it is a simple design. Very, very basic. Something that this maker decided to do, and it was probably out of necessity. She probably ran out of material. She put pinstripes in the background, just stripes, right? Maybe not pinstripes. They're spaced out a little bit, but pretty close together. You can do it or not do it. But if you want it to look like the image I'm about to show you, right across, inside the scroll and outside the scroll, just horizontal stripes, single lines, not bars, just single lines, right? Like corduroy. So I'm going to show you, if you don't want to see, don't look up, but I'm going to show you what this rug looks like. And maybe you like it. Yeah, using what's at hand, exactly. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Maybe you like yours better. Now, what a pretty simple design this is. You see what I mean about the very basic nature of these scrolls? They were trying to do, I didn't want to get overcomplicated with this game, right? I don't want to put you off on the first slide. But you can see the corner ones, they're trying to do something that's more of like the ear design that curls under, like the ear on your head. And the other ones are like just small kind of fluffy basics scrolls. But you can see these are not the kind of scrolls we see in the 1950s. These are scrolls that we see when people are making their own designs. And it might be a commercial design. My guess would be that if it was, that they left out a lot of it. But my instinct is telling me that the scroll is really not, sorry, pretty enough to be a commercial design. I might be wrong. It has been known to happen so many times, but it's a pretty rug, right? And it's got something. So, yeah, what do you think? So let's move on to the next one. I'm going to go to the next one. So here we go. Fresh slate. And if you're still busy filling out your last one, or you thought of things you wanted to add to your last one, maybe you're adding a whole field of flowers and that's what you do for the rest of the show is add flowers because you got a good start. Do it. This is recorded, right? You can always come back to me later. My husband says beautiful. Well, isn't it, I mean, hopefully about the piece that you're drawing, isn't it great to draw something and to think, I'm on to something? Because all of these, oh no, I did the thing to, that's right, I'm still with you, right? I did the thing to the computer because I don't have my new computer here still, but we'll see. I think it's going to work when the time comes. Sorry. Got it. Let's go to number 2. It's another simple design. If you're thinking, is this a design I've seen before? I don't think so. I have never seen this design before. This is an old design. It's clearly an older rug. I would say this is an early 20th century rug. I would say 1920s, 1930s. It's a very simple design. I'm deciding how much. Let me help you with this just a little bit, because I want you to feel, I want you to appreciate the thing about this design that is so different. So let me help you get started. It's another landscape orientation. So let's do one of those. Now, I want you to start like this. There's a shape like this in the center, right? Like I don't know, you have a football, right? There's a shape like a football in the center. I'm about to describe this part to you. On both sides, there's going to be one part that does that and one part that does that, right? On both sides, right? Right. So that's the basis of what I'm going to want you to do. Start with the football and then give yourself a line, right? That goes, that it's this line continued like this, right? It goes like this, like an ornate U, top to bottom. Start with that. And now I'm going to describe the rest of it without props. Now, let's stay there with those lines. The way that this design functions on the fact that the lines that I just drew it's a double line. It's just a double line. Very, very simple. It's not even filled in. It's just a double little line, very fine. when you come to those ends, right? Either you do the bottom one or you do the top one first. When you come to that end in that curl, there are leaf shapes along it. There's three leaf shapes coming off of it. Top right, top left, bottom left. In other words, on every extension off the football, there are 3 leaves coming off each one, and one little doodle like this, like one little shoot, like tss. You can leave that out if you want, but it's the 3 leaves plus one little psh, like a little spray, like a little fluffy doodler. I don't even know what it is. I mean, it doesn't have a sort of plant name in my mind. Just a wisp. It's like a wisp, you know. So get those little leaves on, and that should flesh out your the extensions, right? The 2 sides, top and bottom, both sides, little leaves added to that. Now, on the sides, maybe, right, depending on the way you drew your lines, maybe there's a little bit of room between the motif with the leaves and the edge of the rug, right? The edge of the drawing. Maybe there's a little room. Is there enough room to draw one simple flower, east and west, right? Centered east and west. Is there enough room for that? Just a little flower, kind of like a poppy, right? That kind of a flower. It has a little black center, and it's just it's a silhouette. It's not a McGowan flower. It's a silhouette, just very basic sunbonnet Sue kind of a flower, you know, very Art Deco. If there's room on the 2 sides for those 2 little flowers, then put them there. Now, top to bottom, is there any room between the top of your, like here? Is there room here and here? Sorry, backwards, here and here? Because if there is, get ready to draw in the middle, top and bottom, on the outside, same flower. There's going to be 5 total on the top and the bottom, right? 5 total, top and bottom. Each has 5, but the one in the middle is the biggest. So same flower that you just threw on the sides, draw one at the top, in the middle, and at the bottom, in the middle, big, and then on each side, 2 more small ones, all the same flower, right? Just repeats. Good. You know what? This is such an unusual rug. Now you'll see when I show you, and I'll give you some time to do some refining. Honestly, this could be a commercial pattern, and this would be more of like an Aunt Lydia pattern in my mind. I'm going to show you in like 2 seconds. It's so charming. It's very basic. Let's look at it. You finish what you're doing, and look if you want to look. Nope, not this one. Wait a minute. Sorry. This one. I mean, how sweet is this? It does have that 20s to 40s sort of Depression era heading into, like, you know, World War II color palette, right? It is a 1940s color palette, but it might be an earlier rug. Very hard to tell, right? This is the only photo I'm seeing. This photo is also on Live Auctioneers right now. So this rug is also, I think, ending over the weekend. You see, the only colors we've got are that kind of vanilla or you know, spilled milk cream color in the background. And then we've got that light blue, super popular in the 1950s. That light blue doing the outlining work, and that poppy red, right? So maybe it is a 1940s rug. Who knows? Who knows? It could be anywhere in those 30 years, really. But it has so much charm. The only other color that we're seeing, a little bit of white, right? I think a little bit of white in between the blue lines. The only other color we're seeing is a little bit of black, the center of all of the flowers. And you see the little sort of skeletal lines that are coming off of the poppies. So interesting and so different in contrast to the blue scrolling. The blue scrolling almost looks like stationery, right? Something you'd expect to find printed at the top of your stationery. But the little black lines that are added to the flowers are much more organic, which makes me think, is this a commercial pattern, number one? I've never seen this. I'm certain I've never seen this because I would have remembered. Number two, I feel like the fact of it being so architecturally correct, I feel like it must have been a commercial pattern, but I'm wondering if someone fooled around with the flowers because it's a bit unexpected, isn't it? It's not exactly balanced either. Like if you look from at the flowers from top to bottom, they are definitely different top to bottom. And it seems like the person kind of improvised by adding the little bits of black coming off of the poppy. Has a bit of a Chinese feel, doesn't it? And that does refer more to the earlier, earliest part of the 20th century, the sort of chinois movement, like doing things that look like they were Chinese imports, like a red lacquer box with a lot of black detailing. It looks a little bit like that too. Hard to say. But I think it's a beautiful example. Is that yarn or wool strips? You know what? Let me stretch it. And I'm thinking it's wool strips because I feel like I can see the loops pretty well. Yeah, I think it's all wool strips. Looks like that to me. Again, this one is on Live Auctioneer, so it's worth checking this out. You see, when I didn't notice this earlier, but you see how this person ran out of color too and added different shades of red. I mean, it just makes your heart happy, doesn't it, to see these little touches in these pretty old rugs. Little bit of a stain, but honestly, I could see having a rug like if I saw this rug in a store and it was reasonable, I think I would get it just to put on top of like a dresser or something, to put a vase down in the middle of it. With a rug like this, if it was in good shape, you could, if you wanted to, you could pull some of the center out and add like your initials or something, like turn it into a family rug or add a year or something. You could add to it. The center doesn't seem to have any problems. I bet, it looks like it's in pretty good shape. It has folded, edges and finished edges that way, the 20th century way. So it didn't have any kind of buffer for people stepping on the edge of it. And it does have a little wear on the edges. But in the middle, it doesn't have any wear. With a rug like this, you really could, or if you designed your own, you could really think to yourself, the configuration, the design reminds me of a Victorian postcard. You know how they did stuff like this, and in the center there would be like some little watercolor of a little country cottage or maybe some cows or sheep. You could do something like that with this too. There's so many things that you could do with this piece. You could even add patterning in the center. Imagine in the center, if you just did a checkerboard, it would look like a Mackenzie Childs rug. So many things you could do with this simple composition. Let's move on to the next one. I've got 7 for you, and we have done 2. Let's see. Oh, the next one is more difficult. I shouldn't have said that. Let's just do it, right? Okay, so hold, and let's listen first because this is more difficult. This isn't a expected composition. It's not a difficult composition. It's very graphic. It's very geometric, but there's a spatial awareness that has to happen for you to fit all the bits and pieces in. So let's think about it in those terms. I'm going to describe stuff to you first. And my tip to you for this rug is keep it small, right? This is a tall rug. So give it a portrait orientation, tall and skinny, right? Give it a portrait orientation, still a rectangle. Make all this stuff small. In the top left, drop down a rectangle, just a rectangle block that is very narrow and only goes, now hold, it's narrow, but wait, it only goes halfway down. So it's a bar that is right along the side, touches the top, touches the side, northwest. It goes halfway down, and it's the only thing it's going to have in it that you're going to draw are 1, 2, 3, 6 small diamonds, like on a suit of cards, just like diamonds like this, just shapes. So draw a skinny block in the northwest corner. It goes halfway down. It stops in the middle. And just make it big enough for you to draw 5 little diamonds in there. You're doing sniffy noises. Do you do the sniffies? You got the sniffs. You a good boy. Button's a good boy. So once you have that little bar in there, let's come over to the right-hand side. And I'm talking the side of the rug, right? So let's start at the top. So now we're at the northeast corner, right? So same place that you started your last bar. Don't do it yet. You're going to make another bar that is the same thickness, so not very thick, but small, small. Cut it off after 2 diamonds, right? Same width, starts at the top, hugs the side. This is the northeast side, but it's only holding 2 diamonds. So it's shorter, but it's the same width. And then stop with that little rectangle with the 2 little diamonds in it. Right under that, touching that, right? Touching that little rectangle with the 2 diamonds, you're going to make a wider bar, almost twice as big, not quite twice as big, but almost twice as big. And hold. It's going to bump out, so it's touching it, butt it up against it like you're playing Jenga or something. Almost twice as wide, going almost all the way down. Leave room at the bottom, because at the bottom, right? So like this. Let me just show you a basic configuration. So I'm only going to show you the left-hand side. You've got your little thing with 2 diamonds here, right? 2 diamonds there. And then you come out a little bit further, like here, and then you're going down like this. But you want to leave room at the bottom for one more bar that's going to go like this with 5 diamonds. Sorry, I'm down here. So here's your little 2, and then you've got a big bar that goes wider, but leave room at the bottom for one more of this kind of size. And this has 5 little diamonds. Sorry, I'm holding it too low again. 5, 2, doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter. Do your 5 diamonds here, get that corner in, and then let's talk about this space here. Once you get your diamonds in, look at that big bar, that's the thicker part. You're going to divide that into not half. I would say this is the kind of proportion, not quite a third. You're going to divide this bar here like this kind of thing, not quite half, right? Just draw that line across and let's deal with it separately. This bar here, and I'm going to work with you on this, has a simple checkerboard with 1 line down and 3 rows across, right? And in that little checkerboard, you're alternating, right? Once you get your checkerboard, and so it should be divided into 6 squares, that little top part. The top left, this is the shape. It's small like this. You could do a diamond again, but it's small like this, right? Like this, like it's like a cross, but puffy, right? That's the little shape that I'm seeing. It has one of those in the top left. It alternates the middle right and the bottom left, that little puffy cross shape. Under that is your big piece, right? That's your big piece under that, your larger piece. It has 3 big scallops or clamshells or lamb's tongues, whatever you call them, 3 of them. And once you have those lamb's tongues in, the lamb's tongues have that little puffy cross inside each of them. And the negative spot is just solid. So you've got your lamb's tongues, like let's say that these are my lamb's tongues, right? And the little cross is in them like that. It doesn't really matter what side you do the lamb's tongues on. It's just that is the pattern for that block. So you have got the hard part done, but we're not there yet. Now, at the bottom, on top, your lamb's tongues bar, right, ends at where the little diamonds are. Right in the space in between, my proportions are off. Right in the space in between is one more block like that. Right here, right? This is where the diamonds are. This is where your lamb's tongues are. In this block here is a little silhouette of a bird. Tiny, tiny, right? And this is probably a small drawing already. So maybe you just don't make it, right? Maybe it's blank and you figure it out later. But there's a little bird and there's like a little squiggle, like one Van Gogh squiggle. That's it. Up top, and I'm helping you with this one because this is the most complicated one we're doing. Up here, remember how we split this up? Where this ends here, there is something that looks like, goes up here, and it has a round top like this. It looks like a one of those South American shrine things, you know what I mean? And it has a little shrine shape to it, like maybe like a clock case. You see what I did right there? Just that, right off of it, right? Right off of the little checkerboard thing. So little sort of rounded top, and it's a little frame, which means there's a space inside of it that's blank right now. What's inside that blank space? It's a plant. It's a little three-headed, very simple stylized plant. Draw one stem down, one stem coming off each side. So one stem down, one little stem coming off each side, and a tiny flower on the top of the three, right? One big stem, two coming off, tiny flower on the top of each. You know, this is this one is the only one in the show that's a woven rug. And I'm looking at it and thinking, I know this is an earlier rug, but it just so reminds me of designs in the 1980s. I just loved these kinds of designs. So get your little, you know what, I was wrong, but don't change it. It's two little flowers on the side, and at the top, it's more like a heart. Whatever. If you want the heart for Valentine's Day, you'll see it in a minute. You'll know what I mean. Now, here's the part that's interpretive. After you get that in, there's a lot left over in the rug. It's just there's a lot of empty field, right? And I'm not going to micromanage you on this. There are three kinds of curving stems with just leaves coming off of them. One of them has a flower come out. They're just, I don't want to micromanage, right? There's three stems just wildly going in that negative space, right? And I don't want to tell you where to place them. I want you to look at your piece and say, if I were going to draw three lines like this, where would I draw them, right? You choose where they're going to go on this composition. And they have like little leaves on them. And if you would like to put flowers at the ends of them, up to you. And they're long. They're kind of long, right? They're filling up the space a little bit, but they're not obscuring the space. It's still very filigree and small scale. The only other thing I want to tell you about this piece is that there are two tiny flowers in the background as well that are not attached to anything. So if you feel like where you chose to land those stems, that you're like, oh, but there's still some weird empty spaces, I got to fill them with something. That's what this person thought too. There's two tiny little flowers in that background there. So if you feel like adding a couple of tiny flowers or more tiny flowers, give it a shot. And I'm going to, and of course you can keep working on this. You don't have to stop, but I'm going to show you what this piece looks like. It is very different. It's your most challenging piece of the night. That's for sure. Oh, Deanna, why did you do this to us? You know what? This is a woven rug. This is also on Live Auctioneers right now. I thought it was just a curious looking rug. It's a hard rug to describe. Obviously it's a very stylistic rug. It's very motif driven. I thought it was a nice combination of known motifs. Like I liked the diamonds. They remind me of playing cards. I like the checkerboard. I like the I like the scallops. I like that weird little sort of cutout, like Milagro holder frame thing. And I like, everything is very structured, but there was something about the organic feel to those three. And yes, one of them is more structured, but I didn't want to do that to you. I just let you put them all in kind of willy-nilly. But if you like one of them being a bit more structured that mimics your flower in the frame more, then you could do it that way. And you see the placement of those two other little flowers. Now, hey, my eye is going, well, I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, at least 5 more places where I would put more little flowers. But that's me overdoing things. This is way more restrained than the kinds of designs that I do, right? But interesting, isn't it? it does make you think, because when you maybe say to yourself enough times that you're not a designer and you're not an artist and you wouldn't design a rug, look at something like this and think, God, if I'm just sitting there, particularly if you have a tablet and it'll give you like a checker background or a graph background or something, it would be easy to design something like this. And when you see it in color as an actual textile, it's quite pretty. It is interesting, isn't it, Mimi? It's something different. It's something to think about. And you could see, using this as a blank canvas, if you don't like the combination of the geometry with the organic elements, then you don't have to do both. You could keep blocking it in like Lego style, just keep blocking it in with different motifs that are geometric. This is something that anybody could do, right? It's very interesting. It has almost a Persian flavor for me. I'm glad that that you think that that's different and interesting. I thought it was worthy of a conversation. Okay, moving on to the next one. This one is more complicated. I'm going to give you the simple version. All right. Ari, do we have any cough medicine that's like throat medicine that is? Don't let it wake me up.
I've got some cough drops.
I'll take a cough drop. Yeah. So this is a tree composition, but wait, all right. This is a tree composition. There's a couple of things going on. We know what this kind of composition looks like. It's a busy composition, but we're going to walk through it together. All right. So remember at the beginning how we were talking about scrolls, the little ear scrolls. When I say ear scrolls, I mean something that looks like, whoa, this, right? It has one of those in every corner, and there's nothing further in the corner, right? These are in the corner and there's nothing behind it, right? So if you go right up to the corner with these ear scrolls, that's fine. There's nothing else to add to the corners. That's what's in the corners. Thank you. I'm so scared. I'm getting a sore throat for my thing tomorrow and for my singing on Sunday. We'll see what happens. It's hard, Gail, isn't it? So get those ear scrolls in the corner. Now, the two bottom ear scrolls, draw a line connecting them at the bottom of them, not at the top of them, at the bottom. Draw a line connecting them. That's your horizon line, way at the bottom. It's not touching the bottom. It's between the two bottom scrolls. A line right across, right in the middle. This is not a Magdalena tree, by the way. Right in the middle, your tree trunk. Now, wait a minute. This is what the tree trunk does. Now, listen. This is not a fancy tree trunk. The tree trunk goes up. I'll draw it for you. And if you don't want the extra help, then don't look at the drawing, all right? The tree trunk does this. It goes up and forks, and it's got two arms off of it like that. It almost looks like a person. Up, forks, and then across. Not even at that angle, just across. That's a weird looking tree trunk, right? Now, on this tree trunk, you are going, if you like, you are going to want to draw 7 enormous round fruits. Enormous. Now, it's not taking up the whole tree, but these are some big dang fruits, right? These are big round fruits. God knows what they are. They look like alien grapefruits. I'm not going to micromanage you. You only have 4 branches. Try to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 giant, thing was stuck on my tooth, the cough drop, giant fruits in there. And don't be don't do cuckoo times, because we're going to put some other stuff in there too. And if you're thinking, oh, it doesn't look balanced, it shouldn't look balanced. So once you have your fruity tooties there, you are filling in the rest of that tree, right? Not out to the border. There's a lot of stuff in the border, so don't go out to the, border of your piece. Fill in the rest of the tree, right? Leave lots of room on the sides. Fill in the rest with crazy big leaves, like as many as you can. They're like just a little bit smaller than the fruit, but just try to fill it out with lots of leaves. This is a phenomenal composition, I have to say. This is an antique rug. This is a 1900s rug, undoubtedly. And this is such an unusual composition. This is another one I have not seen before. Once you've got the fruits and the leaves, right? Now I am going to say I am leaving part of the composition out, and I'll tell you about that later because it's just too much. It's something you can add later. The tree is done. It's got the crazy fruit and the crazy leaves. On this, maybe there's room on the side, just on the two sides of the tree. As tall as the tree on each side, right? It's identical on both sides, are two giant leaves, right? Two leaves, almost like maple leaves, stacked on top of each other, one and then the other, that go to the height of the tree. But they're on the side of the tree, almost like bookends. They're not touching the tree. Two giant leaves. Makes me think that this person actually traced a leaf to make this motif. And if you're like, I don't know what a maple leaf looks like, anything, right? Anything that looks like a leaf. You could do, it doesn't have to look like a maple leaf. You could do something simple as this, right? Right, just simple. You can go crazier if you want, with little veins or whatever, I would say keep it simple. Two, quite tall on the sides of the tree. So those leaves are inside the scroll the ear scroll corners. The only other thing I want to tell you to draw down at the bottom on that horizon line, that there's some room down there, right? Because all your leaves and your fruit and your stuff are a little bit higher up. There is a row of 6 little chicks that look like Easter peeps, like just kind of like a silhouette, little chicks, right? So there's 6 of them, 3 on each side, and they're facing different directions. So you can decide that. Little guys look like, here, let me draw it according to this. Yeah, just make a shape like, make a shape like this. Little nose and just kind of like, tail, just like this. Then you could do, these have like a little wing, you know what I mean, here. But again, let's do it like this. Just that kind of thing, right? Just simple. 3 on, and then they have little legs like this, right? 2 little lines. They're down there on that horizon line. Now, we're done with this composition, but I will say, because you will notice that in this composition, and you can do this if you want, everywhere where there isn't busyness from Jack and the Beanstalk style leaves or overgrown fruits, everywhere where there's space, there is the silhouette of a full-size bird, like a dove or a pigeon, that kind of bird, in different poses, all in silhouette. Every space that one can be fit, one has been fit in, right? So this is an original design, undoubtedly. Here, let's look at it together. Here's our tree in the middle, right? Very strange tree. There's the crazy fruits. And you see the background is very antique, right? Lots of color changes in the background. You see how the horizon line is kind of strung between the 2 bottom scrolls. You see how on the sides, they might be flowers. I said leaves. I'm sorry. They probably are flowers. They were looking like leaves to me. You see how besides all that, we're seeing 7 full-size birds. So I wasn't going to get into describing the birds, but you can see, with the exception of the bird in the middle on the top of the tree, they are almost mirror image. And I think what happened was somebody drew them and cut it out as a stencil for both sides, right? Because they kind of flip-flop to both sides. Nothing else about this composition is balanced, but those birds are balanced, with the exception of the one in the middle. The 3 and the 3, oh, Gail, I love this one too, are balanced. So you can see they're kind of posing them on top of wherever there's space. And it really makes for a full composition. I'd be so curious to know what the colors once were on this piece. But what a gorgeous piece, right? This is folk art. When this is the kind of folk art that you look at it and you might say to yourself, this is unbelievable. I couldn't do something like that. How do they do things like that? You know how they did things like that? It's the kitchen sink philosophy. They start with one truly crappy tree. I mean, come on. That's really not the best tree, is it? And they just started adding stuff to the tree. And after they started adding stuff to the tree, they realized there was too much space on the side, so they added some stuff to the sides, right? They started with the scrolls, I can guarantee, because once you start with the scrolls, right, scrolls are expected at this point. It gives it some kind of legitimacy, right? Some kind of pedigree. There's scrolls present. So they start with the scrolls and then they're just filling in space. And I think all of the birds and the flowers or leaves or whatever they are on the side, I think this is all just filling in space because mistakes were made. Or maybe they thought the tree was going to be the whole composition and it turned out, oops, it wasn't. So they added more stuff. And then when they realized there was still room in the background, they added more stuff. So they might have cut these birds out of like a print or something, or somebody cut them out of maybe newspaper. This is the kind of story that you read. And they just flip-flop them from side to side. So we get repeats of birds, and they are very striking. That one bird on the top is the odd man out. Of course, he is a repeat of the other birds, but he's not balanced, right? He's not balancing with the others. It is really an unusual composition. Such a beauty. And of course, you could fill it into your heart's content. You could make it even more crazy and full than that. This would be like the Magdalena era, Magdalena Briner Eby era of designing, like 1880s, right? Maybe 1890s. And hers are very busy and very full too, right? That kind of mentality of like, let's not leave anything to the imagination. Let's fill it all in. Same kind of a mindset, but this one ordered much more differently, right? Still the same kind of kitchen sink, like that. Let's put that in, and also this, and also that, and also that, but just very different composition. Same same subject, right? A tree with like wildlife around it. Very inspiring. So here's an easier one for you, maybe easier. This is almost a square, but it's a little bit. It's a rectangle, but it's landscape, but it's not very wide. It's more toward a square than a rectangle. And this is a symmetrical composition. So get your frame drawn. The main thing about this composition is there is a tree. The tree is smack in the middle. The trunk disappears under the, so it has a little border like a frame. I should have said that. Looks like it's in a little picture frame. Just lines, just straight. No corners, no scrolls, just lines like a picture frame. And here's the tree, and we're not seeing the bottom of the stump, right? We're not, the trunk disappears, right? So this is already not a good start because this is not a good composition where you're missing part of the composition. It disappears right down into the frame. The tree is pretty symmetrical, but it's very filigree, right? It is not a heavy tree, right? It's got branches that come out to the side like, like arms like this. And it's got branches going straight up, almost like a cross, It's not a cross. In other words, you want to leave room on the two sides of the tree, right? Don't let the tree go too crazy. It's just straight up, there's branches, and across there's branches. Just draw a few branches and then hold, because the only other thing going on in this composition are in the sky, on the top right and the top left, not touching the border, are two big circles like giant dinner plates. So a circle with a little frame inside of it, like giant dinner plates, right? Or those things, remember those things if if you had a stove or your grandma had a stove or something that, you know, when the pipe went into the wall and they started making those dishes, they were usually yellow. They had kind of a corrugated texture to the border, and it was like a cutout picture or print of like a farm scene or an old mill, or you know what I mean, a silo, kind of like that kind of look, you know. Two sort of dinner plates. The two top right, top right, top left of the tree in the sky, not touching anything. And inside those dinner plates are cows, just the face, a silhouette of a cow, just a profile of a cow's face facing each other. So it's the same face, flip flopped, facing in. Now, if you prefer not to do the cow, you want to do a cat face or a different face, or you don't want to put anything in there, that's fine. But this design has two cow faces almost looking at each other, almost like portraits of a cow, right? Like silhouettes. So once you have those two circles, you can fill in the tree a little more because the tree does not touch the circles, but the tree just has lines like this. Spidery, skeletal, broken umbrella kind of lines, right? This is not like tree trunk, limbs and branches. It's just kind of filigree lines. And this artist has added a minimum of like little petals, not even leaves, just looks like maybe a flowering tree that is 99% dead, but just little colorful dit dots, maybe it's fruit. It's a weird looking tree. I'm going to warn you, it's a weird looking tree. So let me show this one to you. I don't know if this is as compelling a design as the ones that we've seen so far, but it certainly was unusual, and I thought it was worthy of a quick look. This is another one I've not seen before. Now, hey, is this design for everyone? It's most certainly not, right? And there's a lot of hit or miss in the background. Is that a landscape? Is that a horizon line? Your guess is as good as mine. My guess is that this is not a commercial pattern and that the person who made this loved these two cows. That's my guess. So it becomes like a portrait of these animals. And to make it work, she, used a tree motif. Now, is it different and is it striking? It is definitely different and very striking. It's very unusual. It is an oddball piece. It's one that we should know. It's one that we should clock because it's so different. Compositionally, it's not the most fleshed out composition, but I think what was important to this maker was the storytelling and portraying these two animals, right? Like there's a lot of love in this piece. I don't know how you feel about cows. I feel like I love them. They are adorable. They are clunky, but I would never think of them as like particularly beautiful. In this, I think of them as awkward and cute. This person seems to see them as beautiful. I mean, just the vibe that you get looking at it, there's just so much love here. So, it makes you think of a different kind of composition. It makes you think about what a person wants to honor. Gail, you like this one. When they come up with an original rug design and the main thing was showing the cows, right? So then it becomes a question of, well, what else can I add? And I think it occurred to her, I could add a tree. And that's exactly what she did. And that's all there is to it, right? So let's do our next one. This is number, we only have two more. This is an easy one. This is a very easy one. I should have put this one at the beginning. So this is a design that the point was hit or miss, right? So there's something going on besides hit or miss. This is a rectangle landscape orientation. Yeah, the choice of colors and the tree make it work. It's very stark, but when you look at I don't want to say fractors because that's too specific, but when you look at from this period, family trees, folk art, not necessarily fractor, right? Because those are very, very ornate. These are the kinds of designs that we're seeing, right? The point is that the design is a vehicle for the characters, right? In most cases, it's like human faces, like people who you see. But in this case, we've got two cows, right? So that's already very unexpected. And then it becomes a question of how do you decorate the rest of the piece, right? Because there's the cows. What else can I do? And it was just problem solving. I think she did some beautiful problem solving, then filling in the hit or miss at the back. Very basic, but I've never seen I haven't seen anything like that. You know what I mean? And I will remember it. If I see it again, I will know that I saw that piece because it is so different. Everybody solves problems in different ways. So you've got a landscape orientation, right? Now, this, as I said, this is a big hit or miss piece. There's a narrow border, and that will be hit or miss in the final piece, just a narrow border. Um, and the whole motif, right? We're going to do two circles that are interlocking like this, right? They're interlocking almost like a belt buckle. They're not two circles next to, look at glasses. They're not two circles next to each other. One of them is kind of mushed, not like the Olympics. One of them is mushed into the other one, like flat on the edges, like a belt buckle. And they are two round pieces, but where they meet, it's kind of flat, right? I think somebody didn't plan very well, so they didn't get the whole circle thing going. They had to mush them together. So that part doesn't matter, but it's basically two circles, big circles. They're almost the whole composition. No scrolls. The only border is that narrow line. That's it. So you got your big circles. Now, within each circle, you have a giant diamond, right? Again, like a playing card diamond. A giant diamond. Doesn't touch north, south, east, or west, but it almost does. It's a big diamond inside each circle. And inside that diamond, in the center of each diamond, is a very simple flower. And the flower looks like a quilted flower or an origami flower with kind of pointed petals, no leaves, just like a pinwheel flower with kind of pointed petals, small. The flowers are much smaller than the diamond. You do however you want, but in this rug, they are quite small. I'll give you a second to do that. This is definitely another original design. And when you get finished with that, if you feel like it, because the main point of this rug is it's a vehicle for hit or miss. So if you want to, just draw hit or miss lines all the way around. Hit or miss lines go with the frame. So across, down, all the way, right? There's no zigzags, there's no diagonals, just across, down, down, down. If you go from the frame in, just drawing lines to suggest hit or miss, obviously they don't go over the circles with the motifs. It's just a background motif. This is a super simple rug. Somebody little is snoring. Oh my God, honey, you the cutest. You the cutest. Oh, Papa, look, he doesn't have a good place for his head. He's got his head on the windowsill. Can we give him something soft? Honey. All right, let me show you what this sucker looks like. Simple. Really simple, right? I mean, this is one of these rugs. When we think about what do the earliest rugs look like, this is what they look like. And if you think about, oh, I would like to make a rug that looks like an antique rug. Wonder if it has to have a tree or if it has to have a house. It doesn't. It doesn't. It can look like this. If you do something that looks like this with a lot of hit or miss, it is going to look like one of these early rugs. Honestly, this looks like, this is a hooked rug. But this looks like it could even be a rag rug from 50 years before rug hooking, like a British rag rug, like a Prague rug, or a sewn rug or whatever. It's that kind of super, super, super early pattern. Someone's like, I'm going to do a circle, and then I'm going to do the diamond, and how about a flower? And that's it. That's the extent. That is the entire wheelhouse right there. So, I mean, these are beautiful designs to celebrate now. Is it the most complex design that we've seen? Of course not. Is it the most beautiful or ornate? No. But it does represent that earliest period of hooking. And it does represent all of the rugs that were designed to be able to do hit or miss too, right? And you can see they didn't even make it in the background of the two circles with the solid material. Um, so yeah, I mean, again, like somebody said earlier in the thread, you used what you had, right? That is the game, playing chicken. But yeah, this is a vehicle and for hit or miss, and any kind of design that looks like this. That's how it's for the rest of us rug hookers. That's how it's going to strike us, isn't it? We're never going to look at that and say anything other than like that was for hit or miss, wasn't it? Because we know because we've done that. We can recognize someone else who's trying to make stuff stretch, right? Let's do our last one. This one is a little bit tricky too. It's not super tricky. I would say this is an early 20th century rug. It could be a little bit, yeah, I think it's early 20th century. This is our second hardest one, I would say. Um, it's an easy design. I'm going to try to describe it to you. And I will tell you in terms of its flavor, it has that sort of Jacobean flavor. Remember when we talk about Pearl McGowan and the Jacobean, like the cruel, Crewel, cruel style needlepoint? It's in that vein. It's not a crazy one. It's a manageable one. So let's do it bit by bit together. So I'm going to start you off at the bottom. At the bottom, there is let me start you off by saying, there's a tiny narrow, it's landscape orientation. There's a tiny border. And in the four corners is a tiny photo corner. What's a photo corner? It's one of these. Right? That's just that little triangle. Little narrow border and a photo corner in each corner, small. The entire motif is in the center. It is not symmetrical, but it's trying to be symmetrical. It is Jacobean in flavor. So because it's Jacobean in flavor, the whole design is growing out of one motif. The motif is an organic motif, but it's not quite a leaf. And this does happen with Jacobean style designs. I'm going to work over here in this corner. I'm going to show you what this design looks like. It almost looks like a mitten finger, a big bulb, another mitten finger, and then at the bottom, kind of two leaves like that. Sorry, I was off the page again. You know what I mean? It's like a mitten with two thumbs and then two kind of feet at the bottom. It almost looks like a video game character. I'm going to help you with this piece, so don't look if you don't want to see. There is a round leaf that comes out of the center that makes almost like a paisley shape, and it literally just has a straight line down it with some cross hatching like that to suggest veins. That's way down in the middle, way down, and not super huge either. This isn't, I would say it goes up the page about a third, a quarter, maybe a quarter, right? So it's just like the stand. If you think of it as a vessel or like a little vase for what's on top of it, that's a good way to think about it. So get your double mitten hand in there with the little feet at the bottom. The feet are leaves, right? They're not feet, they're leaves. Coming straight out the top of it. Don't go all the way to the top. Stop about halfway between the top of your mitten hands and the top of the border. Only go halfway, a line going straight up. That is symmetrical, but don't let the stem touch the mitten hand because you're going to want to add leaves to the stem, right? So have it come to, it doesn't go across, it comes down. And you want to add one leaf at the tip, a football leaf at the tip, and then right above the football leaf, two leaves opposite each other, footballs. And then right above that, closest to the stem, because we're going to put two birds in, only a football leaf on the under the stem, not on top, because there's going to be birds standing on top of the stem. So each of the two stems coming down has five leaves. The tip, the two right after the tip that are on either side of the stem, and then one more on the bottom half of the stem, not the top. Now, you have the straight stem, the two coming down. There's some leaves there, but there should be two holes, right? You're going to put two birds there. All I can say is these birds are different. They're stylized birds. I'll give you kind of a rough idea of what the birds look like. They both look different, so it's not like it's going to be amazing help. Let me come over here. I'm here. The birds are something like this, facing in the opposite direction, like a little beak here, eye here. I did that really bad. Eye, beak. Okay, wait a minute. And the neck, almost like, oh no, that's very bad. The neck is like this. Yeah, they're in a really weird position. You know what? Let's scratch that. That it looks like a serpent. Draw a bird the way that you know how to draw a bird in those two gaps. The bird does have these kinds of things on its head like this, like all Jacobian things do, right? They go like this, and they usually have a dot on the top of each one. But just do a bird the way you know how to do a bird. You could it's a stylized peacock. Sorry about that, but it's not a peacock. These Jacobian designs, whether it's needlepoint or hooking, these birds are often fictional, right? It's like a hybrid that the bird is only there so you can add paisley and patterning to it. It's not actually a real bird. Peacock is a very good suggestion for the kind of a shape, but the reason the bird is there and is so that he can look like a possessed demon bird, and his head is spinning one way and his wings are going the other way, because he's literally filling an empty space up. He's not being a bird. He's not being a literal bird. He's being some kind of a mythic bird, and he's a piece of real estate in a composition where he's taking up this space between the leaves. That's what his job is. So having a bird that doesn't look like a bird that you know is the kind of bird we're looking for here. So if your bird looks really bad, that's really good. And the the bird has a wing, like one wing showing because it's a profile. And it's like patterns, like a checkerboard or something. You can do that or not do that. It's up to you. Coming off of the bird's tail are all of these kinds of plumes, like just plumes, like a tea kettle puffing smoke, right? Just looks like feathery smoke, just tea kettle. Oh, sorry, Buttons. I sorry, baby. Very stylized. It's not a big part of the composition. Now here's the last tricky thing. I'll let you do the puffs. They're crazy puffs, I gotta say. The last thing is that each of the birds in his beak has the bottom of a stem that they're facing sideways. The bottom of a stem that's going to go like this around their head and behind them. And it just makes the single sweep, one little stem, no leaves, but at the end of the stem, right, which kind of lands behind their head. So they each have one, right? They're each holding a stem. So that's two birds, two beaks, two stems. At the end of each stem is a flower that looks like a bell, like one of the bell flowers. You know what I mean? That hangs down, is the shape of a bell. One at the end of each stem. So each bird is holding one stem that has one flower at the end. And it is not symmetrical. I think the person meant to make it symmetrical and it kind of derailed, but it is still super, super, super pretty. I think a lot of things went wrong with this composition, which is kind of sad. It still is an astonishing piece. So let me show this to you because I want to talk about some things in the finished piece that I think this maker struggled with. Do you see what I mean with the mitten hand in the bottom? And here's the two birds kind of looking over their shoulder, perched in the blanks. And there, I should have said at the end, I meant to say, just fill in leaves on the branches where there's room. That was important. I'm sorry. I should have said that. Just fill in the leaves. You see how I think she meant for the birds to be identical, and they're not quite identical. And she has them positioned a little bit differently. So when she did the great idea, and it is a great idea, of sweeping the stem up and having the bell flower dangling down, they don't land exactly in the same place. I don't think that takes away from the composition. Actually, I think it strengthens the composition because it's so, because we know what's going on here, right? There was trouble, and we know what that means, and we know problem solving is everything in this craft. The whole game is problem solving. So, um, oh, hey, Susan, super looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. I'm super looking forward to tomorrow in general. So one of the things, and don't worry, I don't think that I'm sick. I just think I have a sore throat. I don't want to scare anybody. I'm super excited, and I'm going to bed right after the show so I can be crazy at the party. Not too crazy, but usual crazy. Anyway, so it is an unusual motif. You see what I mean about off the tails? There's these crazy plumes, a little bit of a paisley feel there. I didn't want to give you any more um, um, words, abstract words, but if you still have your pencil out, maybe you can alter them, right? If the game isn't over, you can alter them and flesh them out a little bit better. Um, the way the bells are landing, the leaves on the stems, it's all very interesting. You can see this person had the further problem of they ran out of the background color, like almost immediately. So they managed to get the black or at least the gray to go behind the leaves, but then they were truly out, right? So then they moved to the next darkest color, and then they pretty quickly ran out of that too, and then they went to a lighter color. And you know, I gotta say, we see compositions like this, but the reason that this one is so striking to me is because of the running out and because of those problems that were solved. It looks almost like a basket shaped like this because there is a really pronounced cutout. And no, I don't think it was supposed to be there, but it's just the way it went. My hope is that the person who made it still really loved it and wasn't super triggered and frustrated by it because the problem solving that she did was phenomenal. And I think it's so much more interesting as a shape to look at than something that just has an all black background. I think she did great with this piece. We have one of the things I love about this craft is we have the same problems now. If you do this, right, we're in a different position. Maybe you just go out and get some more black, or you get a black shirt and cut it up, and it's not the same scale of problem that it would have been for someone at this time. But if you are a purist and you like to work in the truly old-fashioned style, then maybe when this happens to you, you do force yourself to just go with it. Um, your piece will look older for it. It will. There really is something so charming about the story of this piece. It is a really whimsical composition. Um, it's super charming, but a huge part of this story is the making of the rug. And we can feel how that felt as you get to the end. You're looking at how much material you've got left or how many strips you've got left, and you're thinking, ooh, I don't know. And there are always moments where you think, yeah, no, I think I got it. I think this is fine. And then you look again and you go, no, it's not only a no, it's a no way. And those can be hard moments depending on the project and what what you're imagining. But it must have been much harder for this person who was, like, I think, envisioning an all black background, right? Such a pretty piece, isn't it? Anyway, that is set. We did all 7 tonight. I can't believe it. We were on for 2 hours, which is just fine. Well, it's not the time for me. It's just the energy, and I wanted to save my voice, but I didn't overdo it tonight. I think I'm just fine. I want to be great tomorrow, and again on Sunday when I have to do that song, but mostly tomorrow. Tomorrow is our day. So I will say good night to you, and I would love to know if you did any compositions tonight that you thought it was fun. It was something different, right, Patricia? Did anybody do anything that you thought, wait a minute, there's a seed there of something great? Is there anything that you look at that you think, well, if I got my colors out, right? If I got my paisley out, maybe there's something there. I would love to know. I love to know when oh, good, definitely, when there's success. And you're always free and welcome to post in our, if you're on our Facebook group, if you did some sketches that you're happy with or you're happy to show, you could always post them there and say, oh, you know what we did on Friday? That show is up there for you if you feel like having a little creative break and doing some little drawing exercises that are absolutely for everybody, right? I did some of these. I think I'm going to develop them or whatever, or send them to me for the next. Yeah, I've got some Play-Doh right here. That's what I'm working on. Somebody left it on my desk. It was a fun night, and congrats. I'm sure that you all did some really pretty compositions just then. I know you did. Maybe something that you can use. And thank you. It will be fun tomorrow. I'm going to go get a ton of rest right now. I'm going to sleep like a hibernating bear. And I will be so excited tomorrow. Sharon, Susan, Shay, I don't know if you're watching, Mom. Um, yeah, I'm so excited for tomorrow. Remember, I plan on being live at 3:20. I know that's a weird time. Eastern Standard Time. Keely, Sharon's daughter, will start recording the presentation. So you'll see me in there doing that. And if she's happy to follow me a little bit, I might take you out to see some of the actual rugs, but you should be able to at least see me talking and showing the presentation. So yeah, I'm going to get a lot of rest, and hopefully tomorrow this, whatever will be gone. Joss has it. So yeah, hopefully that'll be gone. Have a great happy Valentine's Day to you too. Have a great weekend, everybody. Read a happy Valentine's. And yeah, look out for tomorrow. It'll be a great thing to tune in and be together that way. And again, I plan to have it on YouTube, but if there's a problem on YouTube, we'll move to Facebook. But my intention is to do it on YouTube because YouTube will record it and it will be there for everybody with all of the other ribbon candy hooking videos, right? So I will see you tomorrow. In the meantime, Valentine's. Have a great Valentine's Day. And yeah, I will see many of you tomorrow.